who would you guys like to see the Leafs acquired? Now it could be multiple names. It doesn't just have to be a one guy. Do you have one name? Do you guys have multiple names on your board?
My list can go very deep. I'm gonna try and
Yeah,
make it as short as possible. I'm gonna go with like two or three names. I'm gonna try and
go.
keep it that way. Um, I mentioned it in our group chat today. I said I'm gonna be keeping an eye on Rickard Rakell. He scored two goals in the game. Like one of them especially was like a nothing goal. It was Joseph Fall out of his net. So I'm not gonna give him credit for that necessarily. But I look at Rickard Rakell and I say you can have this guy who's making 5 mil. He's 31 years old. He's a right shot. Has played a bit of center in the past. Plays more wing right now. Um, and he's making 5 mil for 3 years. Or you can have Braden Shen, who's 33, left-handed shot, hasn't had a
Play
great season
center.
production-wise, makes 6.5 million for 3 years. If I'm choosing between the two, like I think I've laid out which one I'm leaning towards. Depends on the price as well. We know the price is high for Braden Shen. Kyle Dubas plays his hand right. Maybe he waits for that deal to happen first, and then he has the leverage to go to teams and say, excuse me, look what Braden Shen got. Ricardo Kell's better. Price is
Yeah.
even higher. If that isn't the case, though, in the world where maybe Ricardo Kell gets moved first, I think the Leafs should very much be interested in him. Like I said, he's not a great fit because he doesn't play
I
center full time.
I do have
He's a
one question though,
yeah, yeah.
and it's about Pittsburgh in general. What do they plan on doing? Because I still think they want to contend by next year, right? Like they want to try to
I
maximize the
uh,
Sidney Crosby
I think they're out of
window.
their goddamn mind if they think they compete next year.
I
Though that's the
I
problem.
completely agree. I completely agree. But I'm
See,
I'm
I
trying
don't.
to look at it from this is what they have. They have Sidney Crosby now for
Yeah,
is it 2 more years after this? They have Evgeny Malkin near the end of his career. You've got Chris Letang near the end of his career. You have Erik Karlsson still with a few years left, and I don't know if you guys want to talk about him after as well. But like they have the pieces and they want to compete. Like that is apparently that's what they want to do. I'm all for
I don't, but I
trading
don't
off your
think they do
assets.
though. I to me, the fact that Ricardo Rakell's name is out there and he is on trade boards, like he is. This is one of the guys where there is like noise behind it. I don't know how you can trade him and compete. Like the two don't go together. Like I know you can get back like pieces that maybe make it work, but I think the attempt of bringing in Erik Karlsson, like that was the we're going to compete. Like we already have had this conversation and it already finished, and this is now a new conversation. I think they're like forced to kind of go rebuild. So now the onus shifts to Crosby, Malkin, and Letang to stay or go, and that's up to them.
Yeah.
Because at first the
Okay.
onus was on Kyle Dubas to build the contender. He tried, didn't work, and now it goes back to the players. That's kind of what I think there. But Leafs wise, okay, that's my primary name. And that's a guy who's not a rental, so he's not as likely. I'll give you one rental name. Give me Brandon Tanev. It just makes too much sense. We're
I
all
like
talking
that
about the Shen Bros, but reunite the Tanev Bros. I think he'd be a instant fan favorite in Toronto.
for
I'm going to
sure.
throw a random name out there because I had thought
Hit
about
me.
this guy who has not been on any radars, at least from the Leaf perspective. He might not even get
Okay.
moved in the fact that this team is competing for the playoffs. But man, maybe Ivan Provorov on the back end. How crazy
You
would
know
that?
what?
Left-handed
Yeah.
shot, and those guys aren't as coveted as the right-hand side. 6.7, I think, for this year. I don't know if he'll get moved. Columbus is making a push.
I think Columbus
I don't
wants to
know.
move him though. They honestly they probably should because I don't think he's going back. So you probably want to
I'd be
sort
curious.
that out.
I'd be curious about him. I'd be curious about him.
I
Yeah,
think it's a good
Christian's in
show
deep thought.
because because I think he was on the Kipper board, and I think he said that this is one where it's like Columbus is leaning to maybe just own rentaling him.
Mm.
And I can't blame them. I can't. And what I'm asking myself is think about what they traded to get him. I think it was like a really good deal for them. Like they got him in that three-way trade with LA. Like I don't think it was a high price. So you can look at it as, oh, we got this guy for basically nothing. Well, we just keep him. There's no pressure. Or you can look at it as, oh my God, we got this guy for nothing. We could turn him into something. That's incredible. That's insane, right? So it depends on their perspective. But like I think I think it is like, to me, still a need for the Leafs that's underrated is the guy who can man the point on the power play. They've been getting by because you can survive a regular season without that. They've been racking up the goals from the blue line since Four Nations face-off, but it's an underrated need. I like it if he is available. I do like it if he is available. It's a good show.
Yeah.
You got another name?
That's it for me. Shen. I like
That's a
Shen.
good one.
But you know
That's-
what? I mean, we've talked
Which
about
Shen?
him.
Which
I like
Shen?
Brayden Shen. Yeah. You know what? Both. Bring them both here. Batch brothers.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Let's get both tandems. Let's make a move.
Yeah.
bros.
I mean, I am caught between Scott Lawton and Brayden Shen for my forward acquisition, and I will always hear. I could see the pros and the cons for Brayden Shen, but with the pros for Brayden Shen, this is a guy who's right now winning 50% on the dot, especially if you have this guy playing like third line matchups. And he's winning 50% and like doing it full time, 441 wins on 870 draws. As compared to like Scott Lawton, like I genuinely, I desperately want to see them acquire somebody who can play a bit of center, especially a bit of center going forward with the uncertainty for JT. Like he is, he's coming up, his contract is coming up this year. The thing with Scott Lawton, though, is that he was moved to the wing, but he can play a bit of center. He's got 165 wins on only 334 draws for like 49.4%. So just under 50%. So both guys, one's a bit over 50, the other one's like a bit under 50. I would like to see somebody who can win the face-off battle. Couturier, though, has the goal upside, I guess you could say. Like I think he's got a bit more in the proof to get a couple more goals. But dude, Brayden Shen, like I remember watching that 2019 cup run that they had, and I'm like, oh man, he's so nice. Yeah. Like having him and Ryan O'Reilly as like your top two centers, like that was such a treat. Yeah, like that is just somebody that you want in the playoffs. You know what?
The pedigree's there. Berube went to bat for him. Yeah.
My pick is going to be bring me all the brothers and bring me. So that means bring me Brayden and
Brandon.
Luke Shen, Brayden and Luke Shen, and bring me Brandon Tanev to play alongside Chris Tanev. Let's get all the bros involved. We had Alex Nylander. We have Willie now. We got it's brotherly love in Toronto.
Yeah,
so.
I'd be so for it. I want to. If we can, let's try and squeeze in this exercise that Mando's got here, ordering the assets that the Leafs are likely to part with on March 7th. He's got Nick Robertson, Easton Cowan, Fraser Minton, Bobby McMahon, Grabenkin, the 2026 first and the 2025 second and third. So I guess we should do this like most likely to move. I think we should do most likely
first
to move.
Is most likely to move.
Mm-hmm.
I think the second and third are most likely.
Hey, Nick
I think the
Robertson,
first is after that. Yes. I think of all the player options, even with him looking better lately, he had a really good defensive play in today's game. I'm still very, very, very open to moving him. To me, his value really isn't that much higher than like where like Timothy Liljegren ended up at, which is like what, a fourth and a sixth or whatever. Yeah. Like I think we'd be lucky to get like a third, personally.
Here's the thing though, he is making like near league min against the cap. Like, is that maybe not?
Yeah,
I know. I came myself. I'm trying to talk myself into Nick Robertson. Oh my god.
Grabenkin is a curious one.
Yeah,
I just think that Berube maybe fell in love with him a little too much to want to give up, right? And
you know what?
Is a wrong word. It's you have to give to get, but
I
had a chance to watch him. I was at the Marlies game actually yesterday, of all days, and Grabenkin is a dog. Like he's the guy who will throw the hit. He made a great play for one of the goals. Didn't get assists on it, but he made the play to keep it in the zone. And so he is a Berube style player. It's just you don't have a lot to move when you're the Leafs. You kind of have to get creative.
The big
McMahon
question,
is an interesting name.
McMahon is an interesting name, but dude, if they sell on McMahon right now, like, dude, that is a guy who you definitely want in any series against one of either Tampa, Florida, Boston, if God forbid they ever have to. He always passes he's passes the smell test with flying colors. For me, though, the two interesting names though is obviously the two of the three top prospects that the Leafs have. I guess we could also maybe touch on Ben Danford. I'd rather keep the defensive prospect because we have literally zero. But between Easton Cowan and Fraser Minten, who is the one that you'd be more willing to part with, or who is the one that's going to give up more of a return for you? It's probably, if I were to guess, it's probably Easton Cowan, even though Fraser Minten is more NHL ready, that I would say, than Easton Cowan right now.
Yeah, I think the way to look at it is who do the Leafs need more to keep? Like, who do they need to keep more?
Yes.
You can make a good argument either way, but let's say they went out and got Braden Shen, and maybe this kind of kills the argument because you might need one of them to get the deal done. But if you just plop Braden Shen on this roster, all of a sudden you have way less of a need for Fraser Minten, I think, right?
For sure.
So I think Easton Cowan is my name. I think a Minten could be involved in a Braden Shen deal, which it's a high price that apparently is wanted for Braden Shen. If you're putting, gun to my head, I got to choose one to keep. I'm breaking the tie and I'm going with like Easton Cowan. I'm still leaning that way.
Interesting. I will go Minten. And the reason is if you sign Mitch Marner, I just think Cowan becomes a little redundant. I know they're not the exact same player, but I see them as very similar skill sets. Marner's more experienced. Now that said, Minten is a center and those go for bigger on the market. So,
does Easton Cowan top us like the 65-70 point mark in the NHL? Like
we know Minten. I think we know Minten doesn't, and I think we don't know if Cowan does. So maybe that's it. Yeah,
that's fair. So now with me saying that, I think Easton Cowan's going to score 40 goals and 90 points against not on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.